Hey, what is going on, everybody? Welcome to yet another episode, week 4 of none other but Bring Your A Game. It's me, your boy, Austin Snyder, Diggity, Dizzle, whatever you want to call me. You can catch me on Twitter at Austin Snyder90, and always I am with
Amar Burton. You could catch me, Twitter, Instagram, Amar_206. So we're back for another episode with us, America's team, since the Cowboys apparently don't want that title anymore, aka the Rock and Roll Express, aka Black Man and Robin. So let's get into this one real quick.
It's funny you say that because I've been hot on this DC app lately, reading all the old Batman comics and watching. I just watched The Killing Joke on Netflix, and I'm in the middle of watching The Dark Knight Returns. Away from comics and into
the sports talk. We'll do
why we showed up tonight, ladies and gentlemen.
Right, because we can do a comic book podcast at another date, but that would probably be you and somebody else because that's not really my forte.
That'd probably be me and Dylan. That's
yeah. We got to come up with a name for that. So something that we haven't really talked about a lot is baseball. This baseball season and the World Series were now underway. It is tied in a game apiece. Tampa Bay Rays and the LA Dodgers. Game 3 is going to be Friday. We're recording this on Thursday, so by the time you see it, game 3 may have already been played. But what I wanted to ask you, if the Dodgers go on and win the series, and Mookie Betts goes on, become whether World Series MVP or just makes a great showing for himself in the series, regardless. Something we kind of talked about before. Do you think that it makes Mookie the face of baseball if that happens?
Honestly, I think he has a damn good case. And the reality is that the general consensus is that I guess Mike Trout's that guy. But the media, the fans as a whole, and I guess I could throw myself in that bunch. I'm not as diehard as I used to be, but we're all kind of waiting for somebody to take that. You know what I mean? Because the reality is like Mike Trout hasn't had a lot or any postseason success. He's a guy that's incredibly fun to watch, but he's pretty vanilla. Not a ton of personality, and that it's not necessarily a bad thing, but it's not a good or bad thing. I mean, the face of your league, you want to be very charismatic. You want to, not just hear about all the good things on the court, field, whatever, but all the good things off. This is the guy that's supposed to be the face, not just of a franchise. And we all know what the expectations are for any superstar in any sport when they are the face of their own franchise. But we're talking for the entire league, for all of Major League Baseball, and I don't necessarily blame Trout for that, because the reality is he's being what the old school baseball fans mindset is just to respect the game and don't talk out of turn. And it's like going over to your grandparents' house, you know what I mean? It's fun, you enjoy it, but there's the weird couches you're not allowed to sit on, and the weird candy that you eat because it's candy. The food's a little bland, but I digress. I went a little deep into that one. But I guess my point is that, not to get too far away from your question, is that, I think Mookie Betts absolutely has the possibility, because it's really just a matter of time between somebody before somebody yanks that title away from Trout. Mookie Betts he has an MVP, right? If I remember, I was trying to he's got a American League MVP. He's got an American League batting championship. He's a Gold Glove winner. He's a Silver Slugger. He was a Defensive Player of the Year, the Wilson overall Defensive Player of the Year, but still. He's made the 2019 All MLB team, and he won a World Series with the Boston Red Sox, in which I believe I think he took the series MVP, didn't he?
That wasn't like some random dude like what's his name, Pierce or something.
You know what? You
One
might be
MVP when
right.
yeah.
Right,
Yeah.
yeah, and that. So I do apologize for not knowing that off the top of my head. But I mean, I think if you add this World Series, right, and you add an MVP on top of that, and he's in a huge market, you know, in LA. I think, yeah, I don't see how he doesn't, you know, unless he just goes and does something completely boneheaded or stupid in the off season or just whatever. I think he gets in heavy contention with it being kind of his title to lose. You know what I mean?
You know, I look at Mookie Betts and I see a lot of he kind of has like a Steph Curry quality about him.
Yeah.
You know, he's kind of like he's fun to watch. He's kind of got this certain charisma, this kind of like he's having fun, laid back. You know, he's not. We talked about Steph Curry on a previous episode. You know why isn't he the face of the NBA? You know, despite all these good qualities he has, one of the qualities Steph Curry has is he's kind of got that everyman appeal, right? He's not this big, you know, hulking athletic freak that you can't relate to. I see a lot of that in Mookie Betts and kind of the way that he just kind of carries himself on the field. And so I think he's got that in him to be the face of the league. And yeah, like you said, he plays for a major market team. You know, they're winning. They could win the World Series. He could be the MVP of that team or the MVP of the series. So everything is set in place for him to be that guy. And but here's the thing, like I'm kind of coming into this as I'd say you might call me like a casual baseball fan, right? Like I watch, the Mariners, my team, but they don't play the Dodgers that much. So I mean, I don't watch the Dodgers play a whole lot unless it's the playoffs. I don't know much about Mookie Betts. I couldn't the stats and the accolades and stuff that you ran off. I don't know those off the top of my head. Like I know Steph Curry's resume off the top of my head. I know the MVP scoring titles and the records for threes and all that kind of stuff. I don't know Mookie Betts' resume like that. I just know he's really good. He plays for the Dodgers. He's played for the Red Sox, and he's got a certain charisma about him. I don't know. I don't recall hearing Mookie Betts talk. You know what I mean? Like,
so he's actually the guy that made the axe bat kind of famous. That was his. He was kind of a so-so player. I want to say his first couple years in the league, and then he switched to that axe bat. Do you know what the axe bat is?
No.
So it's a baseball bat, but the handle of it is like the handle of an axe.
Okay.
And so it gives instead of having like a singular sweet spot that like if this is a bat and you have a singular sweet spot right here that wraps around, usually it wraps around the bat. Instead, because the handle comes like an axe, so when you hold it, I mean, you get full, like, incredible power out of being able to properly roll your wrists and everything. But instead of it being a singular line like that, it's like this. So it's the entire front face. So if you swing it wrong, which you should never do that because it's designed to only be swung like one single way. But if you swing it wrong, you totally screw it. But you have like this entire front face of your bat is basically a sweet spot. So that dude switched to the axe bat and just started jacking home runs and then just became the face for it. I mean, it's a really cool bat. I've coached kids in Little League that have used it, and it's put quite a bit on their swing. I mean, but other than that, I do agree because that was the only kind of like claim to fame that I knew him from. Like, had I not been a Little League coach, I would never know who that. You know what I mean?
Like I don't see him in commercials and things like that. And thank you for the mini Sports 101 segment there. We'll get to the real one later, but that was kind of like a little taste. And what was I gonna say about him? I'll just because you brought that up. Is the baseball purist crowd, are they okay with the axe bat? Because I
No,
know
not at all.
I know they're very slow to come around to any
Yeah.
kind of innovation or anything like
Yeah,
that.
not at all.
Okay.
Dude, you have no idea how many
Mhm.
like fellow little league coaches I've talked to about those things. Because check out, man, I loved playing baseball, but I sucked at hitting. Right? When I was 12, 13 years old, I took a 70-mile-an-hour plus fastball to the face, and I just got gun shy ever since. You know what I mean? Which is what it is. Football was more my thing anyways. But I was never really a super great hitter. My form wasn't super great, whatever. Anyways, I went in with an axe bat to the batting cages with my little nephew, who's a great little leaguer, great baseball player, everything. He's got a real future at the game. But I was jacking them. I mean, I felt like I was cheating almost. You know what I mean? Like it was just very smooth, very fluid. After you got used to it, it was incredible. And anybody who's watching this that does play and watch baseball and whatever, you know what I'm talking about. It was just say like that. Like every time I swung the bat, it was just perfect. It was that freaking knife through butter. Anyways, but
is
yeah,
is it kind of the equivalent of, you know, the old school football fan who doesn't like that players wear sticky gloves nowadays? You know what I mean?
Yes.
Like, is it,
yeah.
Okay. So
yeah,
it's kind
very
of
much
like he gets accused of like cheating almost.
Yeah. I mean, there definitely was, in terms of what I've heard or read or whatever. He definitely got some criticism, and there was a lot of concern as to whether or not the bat was legal and all these other things. And yeah, there's coaches. That's why, I brought up, facing the bat the wrong way, because almost every little league coach that I've ever talked to about it, they're like, well, yeah, but the problem is you can only swing it one way. Like, well, how is that a problem? It's not like that. Like I said, I mean, you've held an axe before, right? Like an actual long axe.
Yeah.
How that handle comes kind of like there should be no other way to hold the bat,
Right.
And so I guess
it's encouraging you to swing it the right way. Which
right. Like, and
to
me, it just doesn't make any sense why having a singular tiny strip of a sweet spot on your bat is somehow like more versatile than just like, and I could be exaggerating a little bit, but it's like pretty much almost the entire front face of the bat. You know what I mean? It's just all kind of like a money spot. So, for people, but yes, it very much is something. It's gotten to a point now where it's not so much criticized, where like they just don't talk about it. You know what I mean? They're like, kind of murmurs in the background, but they're like, whatever. He's a great baseball player. So
yeah. Okay. And, so kind of another Mookie related topic, right? If the Dodgers win this series, and let's say, because Dodgers, they signed Mookie Betts to a 12-year, $365 million contract, right? If they win this title, but let's say it's the only title they win in the next 10 or 12 years, is that contract worth it? Like, when you sign someone in baseball to one of these like massive, multi-year deals, what payback are you expecting? Like, what's the best you can ask for? Because it's not realistic that, okay, we're going to win 6 World Series, with this guy in this 10-year span that we got him. But like, is 1 enough? Is it like 2? Is it 3? Like, how do the Dodgers get what they paid for with that Mookie Betts contract? What do you think?
Honestly, I mean, first off, that's a lot of money, man. Holy cow. If Brian or Victoria, who's ever editing the video, if you could just make it rain some money on me, please, just make me feel like Mookie Betts. But anyways, I think 1 could be enough. Because here's the reality. Baseball, as crazy as this sounds, baseball, probably more than any other sport, and that's one thing about baseball purists that I will give them, is that like they are probably the most reasonable fans possible when it comes to the understanding like that it's a team sport.
The
You know what I mean?
right?
Exactly.
Yeah,
With the expectations
no,
and
definitely.
understanding that it's a team sport. So
Mm-hmm.
you can't have like one guy is not going to drag a baseball. You know why? Because Mookie Betts can't pitch, right? And like Clayton Kershaw, you know, he's can't hit like Mookie Betts. So there's just like it has to be a cohesive team unit. So honestly, one is more than enough to justify that contract. You know, a World Series definitely goes a long way. I mean, they should be expected to be contenders. But the biggest thing is just the like maintaining just a high level of play. He's a career 300 hitter. So, you know, you're probably going to always get that 300 to 340 somewhere, you know, whilst he's in his prime out of him in terms of batting average, which is incredible. You know, if you see maybe a dip to 280, kind of a cause for concern a little bit, but he is going to get old at a certain point. He's a great home run hitter. God, I want to say, I don't have the numbers in front of me right now, but the guy's typically like in the conversation, you know, for close to most. Yeah, he's got 155 home runs in his career, which started in 2014. But yeah, I mean, the guy's got 3 Silver Sluggers. He's a 4-time Gold Glove winner. He's an AL batting champion. He's a part of the 30-30 club. He's hit for a cycle. So, I mean, yeah, if he can maintain what I just rattled off, if he can do even that in the 12 years, obviously maybe a little bit more, you know, call it 2 more Gold Gloves, and he's a 4-time All-Star now, so hope that he makes it, you know, 8 or 10 times, right, out of those 12 years. So if he can do that, 100% worth it. Every penny of it.
I think it kind of depends on the franchise, and I feel like when it's the Dodgers or the Yankees or the Red Sox, they're going to want a little more. I think they're going to want a couple, you know, maybe in these 12 years, maybe 3 to feel like we got what we paid for from that guy. I think if it's like a franchise, like those the Mariners, yeah, just win 1, cool. Like we're good.
Bro, get us to the playoffs, and
yeah,
we're
right.
Yeah, 100. Dude, we paid Robinson Cano how much money, and he couldn't even get us there. You know, come on.
It's like if it's like the Mariners, or you know, I'm trying like franchises that haven't, I don't know, like Texas or you know, franchises like that. I think maybe 1 is enough. That like, okay, that justified it. You know, we wanted this championship. We never had one, or you know, we haven't had one in forever, and we finally got one. Cool. I think the Dodgers are, you know, they're such a big brand, and they are paying so much money. Like they have such a big payroll, not just Mookie Betts, but everybody else. That's kind of like, okay, you know, yeah, 1's awesome, but like, let's get like 2, like 3, hopefully, you know. But okay, so that's kind of a dead transition there. We'll have to edit that one.
Right.
I was just like,
it's like, yeah, okay, so where were you going with that?
yeah, so NFL. So the Buffalo Bills, I want to talk about them. They started off 4-0, lose 2 in a row. So they're 4-2, still on top of the AFC East. Still looking better than any team in the AFC East, but not looking that great the last couple of weeks. And I know early in the season there was all this hype around them, and like, you know, the Bills are like a Super Bowl contender, and Josh Allen's an MVP candidate, and you know they're doing so great, and this is like the resurgence, and you know it's back to the 90s. Right now, at 4-2 on this 2-game skid, do you think the Bills are still like a serious title contender?
I never saw them as an actual title contender. I think they're a very strong playoff team. But I, you know, personally, I even during their hot run there, their 4-0 start, I've always thought that their ceiling is maybe the AFC Championship. You know what I mean? Second round to AFC Championship. And on the flip side of that, I always thought that their basement was 10 wins. You know what I mean? So that's not bad. 9 to 10 wins. But my point is that I think that they were way overhyped. It's one of those things where people were kind of taken aback by it so abruptly by how great that they were playing, that they got overrated. They got a huge target painted on their back. They just were in a position where, here's what's crazy to me, and I don't mean to keep coming back to my beloved Seahawks, right? But they're the only NFC team that's undefeated. I know they just came off a bye week, but still 5-0 for the first time in franchise history, right? In a franchise that just recently is coming off one of the greatest decades of football of all time, like in the 100-year plus history of the game. Anyways, but this is a team that they easily, based on just the way the offense is playing, Russell Wilson is playing, the record should be ranked typically probably number one, if not top three. I'll give top three, to concede some of my bias, but yet they're constantly being ranked outside the top five in the power rankings and stuff, And then the Bills, they get on this ridiculous start, and then they just get catapulted, and all of a sudden Josh Allen's the MVP and I'm like, what are we talking about, guys? Come on. Let's be serious here. Josh Allen played great, but it's like he still, even during his hot streak, showed a lot of signs of immaturity and his youth and a bit of poor decision making. I'm not knocking the guy. He's an incredible quarterback, and he's going to be one of the faces of this league for years to come as long as he maintains that level of play. But let's kind of get into reality here and understand that this team is not blowing by the Chiefs. They're not blowing by the Steelers. They're not, you know what I mean? They're not. Their wins include New York, Miami, right? Two teams that Miami's a very middle of the road team. New York is god awful. They're the worst franchise in football right now. A team in which they play a second time, right? And then I'll give them the close win against the Rams. I mean, Rams are playing decent football, but they're not the Super Bowl team that they were, just a few years ago. You've got the Raiders that, again, are kind of a middle-of-the-road team right now. I don't know that many people expect them to be real, true Super Bowl contenders. Playoff team, so yeah, give them that. And then they lose against Kansas City, and they lose against Tennessee, lose against Kansas City. Like two real, legit Super Bowl contending top teams in the AFC. Right.
Mm-hmm.
So they finally faced some real competition, and not only do they lose, they got freaking smoked by the Titans.
Yeah.
Right. And the game against Kansas City wasn't necessarily that close. I mean, I guess it was closer than the Titans game, but it's not like it came down to a field goal, So, yeah, they have the Jets coming up, but they've got also some pretty tough schedule in Seattle, Arizona. San Francisco is going to be healthy by the time they see them. Pittsburgh, they'll see New England 2 more times. So, I mean, yeah, they also see Miami, the Chargers. So, yeah, they'll make the playoffs for sure. But that's it, man. Josh Allen is not winning MVP. This team is not winning the Super Bowl. Catch me on cold takes if I'm so wrong that those things happen. By all means, clip this, but not happening. And people needed to calm down from the get-go and understand that it never was in the cards.
Yeah. This man never passed up the opportunity to hype up the Seahawks, by the way. And you kind of took my point, because I was going to just look at the schedule, and yeah, like you said, Jets, Dolphins, Rams, Raiders, and they almost blew that Rams game. I remember they were up by a lot, and the Rams came back. I think it went down to the last minute.
Oh, that's right. Didn't the Rams overcome a 21-point deficit?
Yeah, it was something like, I forgot but it was a lot. It was like a 3-score game.
Yeah,
and they almost blew that one. So yeah, those first 4 wins. I mean, yeah, you're right. It's not like a great, it wasn't like this tough schedule. And as soon as they play, the first two, real contending teams on their schedule, they lose 2 in a row. So I kind of agree with you. I think they can make the playoffs. The AFC East isn't that good, so it's not. They don't have a ton of competition there. So
Right.
I don't think winning the division is going to be a problem. But getting past, getting into like the AFC title game or something like that, I don't see it happening with them. One guy that actually I don't know how close he came to being on the Bills. I remember when the trade rumors were happening and this guy was going to get traded, and I think there was a report he had gone to the Bills, but I don't know if it fell through or whatever. But anyway, Antonio Brown. His name's been in the headlines. I guess his suspension's going to be, or he'll be eligible to be signed, or suspension's coming up or whatever. And the Seahawks have been linked to him. They're probably the most, popular team that's been linked to him. They say that there's other teams interested. We don't really know who those teams are at this point. Do you think that a contender should really take a chance on Antonio Brown, or a non-contender? Like, does he get you into the hump into the playoffs? Does he make you a championship team? Do you get him because he sells tickets, or not? Well, not sells tickets this year, but that he gets you. What's the goal this year? He gets you social media followers. I don't know. Is he worth it for any team right now, knowing all the stuff going on with him?
That's a tough one. It's definitely – here's the thing, and I equate this a lot, just this situation and the numerous ones like it, i.e. Colin Kaepernick, right? And so it's one of those things where, I was kind of happy to see the narrative of the blackball kind of be stomped out, in the sense that, yes, the guy probably still could play, but like you just asked with the Antonio Brown, is he the guy that's going to put you over? You know what I mean? So if he's not the guy that's going to put you over, then at what point does the talent supersede the drama, the expectations, whatever? That's just from the media. God forbid whatever the player himself may possibly bring you. And in this situation with Antonio Brown, you're talking about a guy who is like clearly unstable. That is just the fact that he's been able to stay out of the news for the last 3 months. That's incredible, right? Like that shows a lot of maturity. And I think for a team like Seattle, it makes a lot of sense, because Pete Carroll, John Schneider, the Seahawks as a whole, Russell Wilson as a leader there who worked out with Antonio Brown over the offseason, they do an incredible job of keeping everything in-house, right? So there was a ton of drama over that Super Bowl season. Not a lot of people really knew about or understood until 2-3 years down the road. As guys start to part ways, then they start doing their expose reports and interviews about this, that, and the other thing, right? Excuse me. But otherwise, you never heard about it. So I think in a place like that, for a guy like Antonio Brown, it can provide a safe haven, right? It can help him feel comfortable to be himself without just a constant ridiculous pressure of media scrutiny. And I mean, look what Josh Gordon did. Aside from obviously his last screw up, but the guy went there. He kind of kept his head down. You didn't hear much from him. The games that he did play last season, he played really, really well in, and he was a very crucial key part of that offense at times. And then, he screwed up. But, man, they got, quite a few games out of him, a lot more than people expected. So I think with Antonio Brown, if you can imagine, you have Chris Carson running the football, who's a top 10 running back, if not more, higher, top 5 in my opinion. And then you've got Tyler Lockett, DK Metcalf, who I've always maintained is going to be the next Terrell Owens, and he just continues to prove me right. And then Greg Olsen, who's been great this year at the position, at his job. Guy came in as a veteran, and he's been a very reliable pass catcher for Russell Wilson. Oh, yeah, Russell Wilson, the best quarterback in football right now throwing it, and then you add an all-pro talent like Antonio Brown, that's so incredibly scary. How do you game plan for that, right? So I think that if Antonio Brown is even half of what he was as the Hall of Fame talent in the prime of his career when he stopped playing, yeah, the Seahawks become the immediate Super Bowl favorites.
I think that you're right. He has to go to a well-run organization, like established leadership that's been there for a long time where they know what they're doing. And there's a reason why I think when there's players like Antonio Brown or Josh Gordon, or who kind of have these potential red flag character issues, why you kind of always hear them linked to the same teams, the Patriots and the Seahawks, the teams that are like run very well. Another one that I think might be a good fit for Antonio Brown would be Baltimore.
Yeah.
They're same thing. Like they've always been one of the better run organizations in the league.
John Harbaugh's a great coach.
Right. His Antonio's cousin plays for the team, Hollywood Brown. I read that kind of like him and Russell Wilson, like Antonio Brown and Lamar Jackson have worked out together before. And they're a team, I think they can use some playmakers on offense. They've got Lamar and they've got Hollywood Brown, and but their offense isn't as explosive as it was a year ago. So I could see them being in the market for Antonio if he's available. They've got a good infrastructure there. He's got the family tie there. Him and Lamar get along well, apparently. Strong coach, strong, front office. So I think he'd be a good fit there. But yeah, it's got to be someplace like Seattle, Baltimore, New England. He can't go to the Jets. He can't go to the Raiders.
Can't go to the Bills. That's the thing is like and again, it has to be a good in organizations. What are they doing? They're contending for Super Bowls. You know what I mean? So it's a situation where even a potential contender like let me just pull a name out here. Well, he didn't work in Pittsburgh.
Mm-hmm. Like the Saints or something? Yeah,
the Saints. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Not that Sean Payton's running it bad down there, but, dude, we saw Bountygate come out. We've seen quite a bit of scandal come out of –
like the Panthers, they're doing pretty good. They're doing better than expected, but
like a fringe playoff team. And I guess that's what I'm trying to convey is that it can't be some fringe playoff team that is maybe that might put him over, but he's going to be the center of attention and all of these other things. You know what I mean? Because all that's going to do is just cause him to collapse within himself. And then you just fall into the same antics that he did all of last season or the season before or whatever.
Yeah. And the word you always hear is like distraction, right?
Right.
And I think some people don't really know what that really means. It's not when they say, Antonio or Colin Kaepernick or Tim Tebow or whoever it is, it's going to be or Michael Sam is going to be a distraction. It's not like, Alvin Kamara is going to miss a block because he was thinking, man, what's Michael Sam doing right now? Oh, damn, I gave up a sack. Like, it's not like they're daydreaming on the field. Like, dang, I dropped that pass because I was thinking about Colin Kaepernick's protest. What the distraction is the media. It's the constantly being asked every day about this guy, with a situation with a quarterback, like a Tebow or Kaepernick, it's, whenever your starter has a mediocre game, are you going to start Colin next week? Are you going to start Tebow next week?
Yep.
That's why teams don't want to bring in a guy like that as a backup quarterback who's going to get too much attention. So like Antonio Brown, it's like, the players in the organization, they don't want to be asked about him every day. How's Antonio doing? How's his mental? Like, is he okay? How did he do in practice today? Because it's annoying. It's
Right.
not that it distracts them on the field. It's just annoying to deal with.
See, and that's why I think
during
that
practice and
Seattle would
stuff.
just be the perfect fit because,
Mhm.
you know, like Pete Carroll and Russell Wilson, they're just such freaking professionals. You know what I
Mhm.
mean? When it comes to that kind of stuff. And Pete Carroll always does a great job of just, whenever it comes to anything like that, just kind of gives his little poop answer and then moves on to the, you know what I mean? And Russell would just, they're pros. They're pros when it comes to that.
They turn the juicy stuff boring.
Right.
And so they just eventually just kind of stop asking because, like, well, we already know what Russell's going to say. He's not going to say anything. He's not going to say anything interesting. He's not Cam Newton, or, you know, Cam Newton, like, he says what he feels in interviews, and
right, where he wears his heart on his sleeve,
right?
And,
yeah.
You'll catch a soundbite or whatever.
Right, yeah, because, you know, I remember, you know, Cam Newton would come into those press conferences when they lose, and he was just so sad and so upset, and it was pouting, and it was great because you're like, that's how he really feels, and, you know, that's cool. But yeah, Russell Wilson's going to be like the same way every time.
Yep.
And it's not going to be a GIF. It's not going to be a meme. It's not going to be a soundbite.
Just one game at a time. You know, just one game at a time. We're just going to take it one game. You know, Antonio's doing great. He's learning great. He's bringing it along great. You know, but we just got to take it one game at a time, one play at a time. That's what I always tell the guys. All right, see you. Love you, Sierra. Love you, Future. Love you, Win. Go Hawks.
Yeah, As every Russell Wilson interview, like, you know, like, I think that, you know, Brown could help the right team. It just has to be a well-run franchise. It can't be, you know, weak leadership. It can't be a brand new coach. It can't be too young of a quarterback, too impressionable of a receiver core, you know. So yeah, I'd say, you know, Baltimore, Seattle. I mean, New England took their chance on him. I don't know if they're going to go back there. I could see him winding up in one of those spots, and then I think they say he'd be eligible. Was like week 14 or something.
I think it's week 8.
I thought they could sign him. Okay, because I had heard they could sign him week 8, but he couldn't play until week 14 or something. I don't know.
It's from what I've been hearing. His suspension is up week 8. Now, the other thing to take into account too, though, is that he still has a pending open investigation from the NFL. And they've basically told him, hey, you're coming back, but keep in mind that if there's any new evidence that comes to light from this deal, like, you're done. So... Yeah.